Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're all remembering to take care of yourselves and that you're all having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not already done so. YouTube analytics shows me that a large amount of people who follow this channel and watch daily are not subscribed. It's not a joke. You can actually see it on the YouTube analytics page for content creators. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Momentum is great. Everything that's been going on has been a pretty good upward trip. There were, I think, a couple of, like a literal couple, like 2 days where prices weren't as spectacularly, fantabulously moving up like people had seen over the course of the last few weeks. There was a day, I remember, I think prices weren't down, they were like sideways. But Bitcoin was up by only 1%, and people were like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it's like, calm down. Like, we're already up by like 9 million % over the course of the last couple of years. Like, actually, like several million %. The cryptocurrency market looks good. Expectations are still quite high. Fundamentals are essentially better than they've ever been. Mining and all that other stuff, like as far as like the amount of people mining continues to rise, the people getting into the market mathematically continues to rise every day. There was news, I don't have it here. There was news that I think the Coinbase app and the Binance app, I think those are like skyrocketing on the app stores, which, as we mentioned in the summertime, is a very good indication of where things currently are and where they're going to go. I think at that time, I think Coinbase's app was, number 70. I think it was number 70. And we typically see, as it rises in the ranks, how many new people are obviously getting into the market. And I'll tell you a secret, one of the things to actually watch out for is when Coinbase's app usually becomes like number 4, 3, 2, or 1. It typically indicates that there's such a huge amount of retail in the market that it might be time to slowly become cautious on the market, because when too many retail people get into the market, it's historically seen as somewhat of a negative thing. But that also goes back to this kind of like money only for the rich kind of thing. But that's another topic in and of itself. A number of CEOs, a number of CIOs, CFOs, you name it, COOs, are coming out talking about Bitcoin, how amazing it is, where they think the price is going to go. We have even people, so if you missed the last couple of videos, I know I say that a lot because people do miss some videos. We had news that a lot of the analysts believe that by the end of this year, Bitcoin will be roughly around $125,000 to $150,000 per coin. And that sometime next year, we're looking at 500,000. Not every, as I've stated before, not every analyst is as bullish as everyone else, but also at the same exact time, we are living through a phenomenon wherein analysts of the space, even if they're not as bullish, they're still quite bullish on the cryptocurrency market as a whole. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. In a recent interview with Sambusa, Jan van Eck, the CEO of Van Eck, expressed his belief that Bitcoin could reach a price of $300,000 US dollars. This prediction is based on the assumption that Bitcoin's market value would equal half of the current gold market. If you remember, this was 2 days ago. It's not that it's not important, but a lot of people put heavy emphasis and focus on Bitcoin passing gold in some sort of way. Like I said, believe me, I get it. I've been in this space for about 38 years at this point. And I understand the idea of Bitcoin passing by gold, but a lot of people have this thing where they want that to be nearly the only narrative. Like when Bitcoin passes by gold, if Bitcoin passes by gold, when Bitcoin's market cap, and it's like, it's going to happen. Like it doesn't have to be a constant discussion. It's kind of like, what's that guy? Is it Peter Schiff, the guy who hates Bitcoin and loves gold? I can't logically begin to imagine what this man's life is going to look like when Bitcoin has surpassed the valuation of gold. Like he will actually have no more argument. I mean, he has none now. Bitcoin's up by several million% since 2009, but he still kind of keeps on going. So it's kind of double pronged in that he won't have an argument anymore because gold will simply wither away and only be used in phones and other electronics that need good conduction. And the other part is that like all these crypto people keep talking about Bitcoin passing the valuation of gold. And it's like, what are you going to do after? Like, what are you going to do with yourself? You have like anywho, Van Eck describes this projection as a balanced view that is not overly optimistic. The numbers that a lot of people are reaching for, or that we continuously hear, is around a $500,000 Bitcoin. We'll see how summer fares. Usually summer and after the halving is not lull. Like we have, price goes up, but we'll see more like 2%, 3% kind of days and things like that. Usually once we get back to autumn and winter, that's when like the big rumblings kind of actually begin. So this $300,000 prediction, like I said, the highest that we've seen thus far has been $1 million. That's been there was maybe over a week ago. There was somebody who like, I was going to say Bill Nye, but like I'm thinking of something else. It's some kind of meme where the guy's like pointing to the board behind him. He looks a little bit crazy. I don't know what it's called. That kind of thing where this guy was basically like, no, like Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Like you don't understand, like there's not a lot left. But he kind of like went on a rant, and I was like, whoa. So the highest we've gotten mentally wise is $1 million. A lot of people are aiming for 400, 500, 600,000. I tend to say $500,000. It sounds a lot better than 4, 5, 600,000. And the lowest thus far is 300,000 US dollars. Van Eck emphasizes Bitcoin's potential as digital gold, suggesting that over time, Bitcoin could achieve approximately 50% of gold's market value. Who was the other guy? This was like 5 days ago. There was someone else who was also talking about Bitcoin as digital gold. And he said, oh gosh, what was it? I don't remember. He said something along the lines of like Bitcoin is... he was expecting that once we get to around $400,000, that will kind of rattle gold markets. The numbered projection that we have is that when Bitcoin goes to $800,000, it will surpass the valuation of gold. So once we get halfway there, like literally to $400,000 a coin, that is when people will kind of like rethink their portfolios and even begin to sell a bit of gold, or if not more gold and other assets, being like, I can't miss the train, that kind of thing. So Van Eck he's not that he's mimicking him. This has been like one of the craziest narratives. The moment Bitcoin goes to $800,001, I'm going to be so happy, because it's similar to like SEC kind of news. It's not at all similar, but is this kind of like repetitive, when is it going to? And Bitcoin is going to $1 million. It's just a matter of when at this point. So sure. This perspective aims for Bitcoin to hold a significant share rather than completely replace gold. In addition to Bitcoin, Van Eck also considered Ethereum, referring to it as a fundamental platform for blockchain-based applications. He noted that Ethereum would play a crucial role in the areas such as stablecoins and decentralized finance. I think Ethereum is going to be around forever. I told you before, I personally don't think that Ethereum is going to be the only Bitcoin, because I think there's too much money in the ecosystem to kind of have Bitcoin just be it. I do think we're going to live in like a multi-coin kind of system where Bitcoin is worth like $774 million. And we get to the point where Ethereum's like several $100,000. But I think a lot of value will be transferred on Bitcoin nearly exclusively. I think Ethereum will be like a smart contract platform where a lot of governments and other places are going to build their stablecoin. And I think some other chains will thrive, but it's like time for them to do something right now. As far as like the XRP, the Cardano, like that kind of thing, they're so close to being like hyper relevant and almost like unforgettable, but this is now the time for them to also shine as well. Like DeFi, and I dare say like staking and stable coins, if you can get your coin or your chain on track for that, you're kind of solidifying that coin's future forever. Yeah, it's nice to see the optimism flowing. I mean, flowing like digital gold, if you will, because it is all over the place. Apparently, according to Bitwise Chief Investment Officer, CIO Matt Hugin, entering Bitcoin may not be too late. The executive recently said that until Bitcoin hits $500,000, it's still early. In a client memo shared yesterday, Bitwise's CIO Hugin stated that while, and I quote, "It's no longer the first inning, it's still early for potential investors until Bitcoin hits $500,000. Haugen goes at length to explain why. I think, and I will say this lightly, Bitcoin's probably going to hit several millions of dollars. I will do my best to encourage people around the world to either get into the market or to have a look at their portfolios to see if Bitcoin is right for them. I think even at a $500,000 Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes up to 1.5 million, you've still tripled your money. If Bitcoin goes to $14 million, you've 28x'd your money. It is, and I say this unlightly, it is the safest bet, if you will, in crypto exclusively. Of course, we're still volatile space, but Bitcoin has clearly won. And if you don't recognize that at this point, I really don't know what to actually tell you. But I think a lot of people have this assumption that things will kind of slow down at $500,000, but even the idea of a $500,000 and $1 million Bitcoin means that like the well is dry. Like there's really nothing hitting the market and stuff anymore, and any buying pressure from any direction, which there will be selling pressure, or rather, I'll say it this way, there will be people selling. There will always be people selling. But it's people, and I try and be nice so many times. It's basically going to be people who don't think as far ahead in the future, not in a mean way at all. There's a book, you have to read it. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's interesting. It's called I Sold Warhol Too Early. I can tell you about it. Anyway, the point is it's a book that, it came out years and years and years ago. This guy wrote a book that basically, I think he knew Warhol or something happened. He acquired a painting, like an actual painting. And when Warhol passed, he basically was like, okay, time to cash in. He saw a couple people selling their stuff. Like some of the paintings were 15, 20,000 back then, keeping in mind that in like 1980s numbers, that's like, oh my gosh, it's so much money. So I think at some point he sold his for like 30 or 40,000 in like the early 90s. And he was like, I made a gigantic profit. I think he used that money to like buy a beach house or something. I forgot what he did, but in the book, he's like patting himself on the back. And then he said the craziest thing happened. He said around like 2001 or something like that. It was like 7 or 8 years after he sold the painting. It went back up on sale at, I believe, Christie's or Sotheby's, like one of the biggest auction houses. And he decided to like sit in. He was like, I want to see what this thing sells for. It must be like 50,000 at this point. And I think it sold for like 1.2 million. And he said like, he wasn't floored. He was like distraught because he was like, I sold that not even a decade ago. How the heck could the price have gone up so much? I think the next time it went on auction was 2007 or 2008 or something like that, somewhere around that time frame. And I think it sold for like 10 to 15 million. He basically goes on to say, he was like, I didn't understand that like through time, it would become more valuable. And I think that's one of the lessons that a lot of investors kind of need to learn. And I think a lot of people listening to this right now have also learned that lesson. You got into crypto, you got into an asset and you like relinquished it. You were like, the price has gone up. I made a pretty good profit. Because that's also, and I'll tell you, I had a couple of acquaintances who were like into investing, into kind of making money. And they tried to teach me that one of the best ways, or one of the simplest things to do is to buy something, watch it go up in price, and then kind of sell it. As long as you've made back your initial investment and then some, you're good money. You did it. So I'll tell you, there was a Banksy poster from, I want to say 2007, 2008, like one of his like early things. I managed to like find one online. Actually from the company that used to sell them, POW. They had some on their website, and I think I bought a couple of them. It doesn't matter. And at some point I realized what the price was, and I was like, ooh, okay, this was years ago. And I sold one of them. I think I sold it for, I want to say 500 or 600. Like it was a poster. And I remember being like, woo, yeah, I did it. That thing is worth so much more now. But in my mind, because they told me, they were like, as long as you make your initial investment back. And this is why I mean, maybe it's like subconscious, why I have this thing where like I invest in stuff and I'm like, no, this is mine. Like I'm not selling. Is it like, I don't understand what that means. I'm not really understanding exactly what you're saying. It's the same exact thing with real estate. The hearing that there are companies who are buying up all the real estate around the world, the idea of me buying real estate, seeing that I made money on it and being like, well, time to find another one. No, I'm not selling. Like I'm only going to acquire more, the same exact way that these companies are. I think along the way we will see a lot of, personally, I think we will see a lot of people who end up selling their crypto. You know, everyone has their reasons. As long as you can live your best life, go for it. But I think 10 years down the line is when a lot of that regret will come back. But that's just kind of life, if you will. We're in a pretty good spot, pretty good position. The way that everything, at least at the time of me making this video, seems to be lining up. The optimism is through the roof. I'm very, very happy to like see people actually not being negative and not spreading negativity and not writing negative things online and like actually cheering when their coin is going up. You've seen maybe like when Dogecoin shot up, like everyone was like really exuberant. When XRP, I think, went up by like, was it like 15% in one day? Everyone was also very happy. It's nice to see this like energy back in the space. I wish people kind of held on to this spirit over the course of like air quote, like bear markets, because you learn, or rather I've learned, when prices go down, this is normally when I should be accumulating, simply because like when prices go back up, like I sat there before and I've been like, oh my gosh, like why wasn't I buying over the course of 2 years? It's because everyone's so depressed and so sad. No one's buying anything. I did not make that mistake this time. I went completely overboard, and I'm like very happy that I did. I even cut back. I have very first world budgets. I won't tell you what they are. I have very first world budgets for things that I do, like hobbies and things like that, and I cut back on them. And all of that was pushed into crypto and NFTs, and I'm very happy for what I did. But yeah. What we're hearing right now is that I'm waiting for that grand old 150. For Bitcoin, we still have 4 or 5 weeks left until the predictions are that that's going to happen. I think 2025 is going to be absolute madness. I'm not joking in any kind of way. Like, I think we're going to see some craziness. Yeah. Right. That's the Bitcoin to 300,000 overtaking gold and Bitcoin to $500,000, it's still early. It is. I mean, it actually is still excessively early. And yeah, let's move on. In incredibly popular news, Japanese company called Metaplanet has officially crossed a major milestone in their Bitcoin acquisition strategy, now holding over 1,000 BTC. Metaplanet is a company in Japan, in Tokyo, I believe. They announced a year ago, has it even been a year, that they also wanted to get into crypto. Why, you might ask, if you're not in Japan, if you haven't been keeping up with currency news. Japan did a lot to kind of devalue their currency, and it's kind of, no, it is. It's not boding well for people who live there, who use the yen. It's great for tourists. I had about 8 friends. I wish I was joking. I had 8 friends who were all just in Tokyo at the exact same time. It made no sense. I was like, why are you? Oh, of course. They were multiple. I had friends who were there for 5 weeks. I'm not joking. Multiple of them stayed between 3 to 5 weeks because the yen is so low, even compared to where it was like a couple of months ago. And basically my friends were having the time of their life there. So for people who live there, it's an absolute debacle. And this company announced that they were tired of the devaluation of the yen. There apparently seems to be no concerted effort to try and save the yen or bring it back up. I told you what countries do. I always mix companies and countries. They're both corporations at this point. What they tend to try to do is, if their economy's not doing well, is they devalue their own currency. I know it seems counterproductive, but that's actually like what it is. You devalue your currency to make it so that business flows to your borders. And it's been working. But the people who suffer are the people who actually live there, who don't benefit. If you own an Airbnb, you benefit. If you work an office job, you go home and you see that your paycheck is less. Tomatoes have gone up. Your internet has gone up. Your rent has gone up. You are losing. So this company said, no, like, we don't want to do that anymore. We're going to move a portion of our money into Bitcoin. And they've ramped up accumulation since summertime. They've become very popular within the space. I'm not 1,000% sure why. I assume maybe people like Dragon Ball Z and they're like, Tokyo, it has to be the exact same thing because, and I say this lightly, there are other companies who have been doing the exact same thing for, years and years and years. And not MicroStrategy, like other companies who are always buying. But for some reason, this has captured the hearts and attention and imaginations of people within the space. On Monday, the Tokyo-listed firm announced a fresh purchase of 156 Bitcoin. Oh, they put the proper decimal place. Look at that. Every single time people were talking about them, they would put 1.56.781. So to make it look like they had purchased hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. And it was like, nope. 156 Bitcoin totaling $10.4 million must be nice to be able to be like, I just want to spend 10 million on some Bitcoin, which brought its total Bitcoin holdings to 1,018 BTC, or approximately 68 million US dollars. Very popular news all the time. Simon Gurovich, the CEO of Metaplanet, celebrated the company's latest Bitcoin milestone on Twitter, writing, Metaplanet JP now owns more than 1,000 BTC, making it one of the largest corporate holders of Bitcoin within Asia. Oh, they have some charts here. So apparently MicroStrategy's number 1, got it. US Marathon Holdings, got it. US Riot Platforms, US Tesla. Oh gosh, can people please stop that? That's so cringe, like it's absolutely insane. There was Tesla recently filed one of their like quarterly whatever reports about money, and people like skimmed like all through it and looked and found that Tesla didn't sell any Bitcoin again, and people were elated. Fudgin' lated. And it's like, stop it. It's super cringe. Like, you don't know Elon Musk, you're not going to hang out with him. If Tesla doesn't sell, they even said before that they didn't really want to sell. They have no intention of selling. They sold once to see if there was enough liquidity in the market, and there is, but that was like 2 years ago. So like, cool it. It's so cringe. Coinbase, which is also a lie. I don't believe that for 1 second. Coinbase announced a while ago that they had only 9,000 Bitcoin, and now they have 9,480. Yeah, probably publicly. You know, they were like the place in America to get Bitcoin for like 5-6 years. And I think Coinbase launched when Bitcoin was $1. Do you hear my words? $1. I find it weird to believe that this company that had hundreds of millions of dollars in backing, hundreds of millions, that started out as a Bitcoin exchange, only paid $9,000 and said, no, I don't want any more Bitcoin. This thing is going to 1 million. We can't have all of it. There's no way I assume Coinbase has more than MicroStrategy. And I mean from like a logical perspective. It takes years to like form a company like this. Behind the scenes, all the other investors, I'm pretty sure they purchased a huge amount of Bitcoin. It's also like, side note, no one talks about back in 2012 or 2013, the Winklevoss twins announced that they own over 200,000 Bitcoin. No one talks about that at all anymore. That was in 2012, 2013. I think they got it when Bitcoin was like 10 cents, and I was like, huh. So you expect me to believe that from 10 cents to $15, you didn't buy one extra Bitcoin? From $15 to 1,000, back down to 200, you didn't buy any Bitcoin? I assume the Winklevoss twins are probably also holding 300, 400, 500,000 Bitcoin. Like, and I mean that explicitly. Because remember what Tether told us. Tether, for those of you who missed it, Tether makes they make billions of dollars every quarter from the transaction fees from the coin Tether. And they use 15% of that to buy Bitcoin. You think they're the only crypto exchange using 15% of their profits? I assume Coinbase has at least 200,000 Bitcoin. The Winklevoss twins probably have 500,000. And it's also like, these are also just companies. People also forget that Michael Saylor said years ago that he has over 100,000 Bitcoin. So you think his company's buying hundreds of thousands and he's not? Crazy, right? Yeah. People forget all these things. Yeah. Anywho, right. Cool. That's the Metaplanet news. People love it. It's not that I don't get it, but it's also like, oh, wow, another company. I want real people to have these coins. I want 10,000 people to have just purchased 1/10 of a Bitcoin, so that in the future, if Bitcoin goes to $40 million, these people are the winners. Rich companies do absolutely nothing for me. Like, it's just like, I don't want the rich getting richer. I want all of you getting richer. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.